background.
Don't you? Hip hop hooray!
Hey,
Oh. Wait, ready?
fancy.
So I have my own cup with me on it
My goodness.
because friends of ours, Jake and Cassie, felt that how I am, I'm like a late night talk show host, and so they took my name and they made me like my talk show host mug. And you too, if you want to be a late night talk show host, hop on to Monster Truck Addicts Whatnot, and I'm sure they can probably get a handy dandy
That's
late night.
hilarious,
So
dude.
this is for you, Jake and Cass. Thank you so much. I love this
I
thing.
need to be your sidekick, the guy that's always over on the side that like plays the music.
You can't be like Paul Schaefer
Yeah, like
to
Paul
my David
Shaver. I need to have the
Letterman.
glasses like Paul. I got the head. I mean, I can
You can't be a side. You don't have sidekick vibes.
No,
You got expert vibes. You have expert vibes.
I think Paul's an expert in music, wasn't he?
Yeah, but he was a sidekick. He was,
All right,
like.
all right, all right.
All right, man. This is Zero Trucks Given. I'm Tommy Late Night,
I'm the old vintage drop shop.
and
Old man
episode
vintage.
2. Man, episode 1, dude. Did you see how many hits we got on episode 1?
Yeah.
Uh, the the feedback
Was
and
amazing.
and let's see how many comments we got on the first episode. Let's just do a real quick recap. Episode 1. Let's see how we did. 92 views, bro. That's it, man. I'm ready to quit.
Yep, I'm done. Hang it up. I'm
I'm
out.
ready to call it a day.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody. This was a great episode. We'll see you guys later.
It's not about the views, honestly, man. It's about like it's so we try to do this for every Friday night at 9 p.m. And the reality is that life happens. Now, it was been a couple of weeks since our last episode, right? Because life happened. Mark, you had some things going on in your life, and you don't have to get into it if you don't want to get into it.
A lot has happened. We are making a move to Phoenix, Arizona after we get done. In the next, well, I can say the next 2 months are going to be probably some of the roughest months upcoming. Uprooting our entire family, moving out to Prescott, moving my parents into the house with us, health issues, just completely change of lifestyle. I mean, it's going to be, I don't know how we're all going to do it, but we will make it at some point, come hell or high water. It's going to kill me or it'll make me stronger. There's no in between. So, but yeah, so that's what's going on for that.
It's funny you say that because, like, I remember, I think it was yesterday or maybe 2 days ago, I texted you and I was like, dude, tell me I'm going to be fine. I just texted you, tell me I'm going to be fine. And you hilariously sent me some memes of King Leonidas from the movie 300, like to basically like, take the fight to them and stuff like that. And I'm like, didn't Leonidas die in that movie? Like, it didn't really work out for him. It didn't really
But in the
work out.
beginning part, he was awesome, right? So I mean, it's like the middle part. We're gung ho in that part.
But he died. Like, it didn't work out
But
for
he
Leonidas.
dies. But did you die? But did you?
And then you followed up with, all right, if that didn't work, here, I'll send you this one. And it was Jim Carrey from Dumb and Dumber. And I was like, got it. Like, just be stupid and it'll all work out. And you're like,
Right.
exactly.
Right. That's just it. Just full send. No regrets.
So, but the reality is that, like, that's what we do. Like, we get hit with things from all angles. We just got to keep on keeping on, like, you just got to keep moving forward.
Yeah, the struggle's real, but you know what? At the end of the day, I mean, we're dudes. That's what we do. We go through the struggles. We make it through. We come out the other side. We may not look the same when we come out the other side. Like when I started this podcast, I had hair, which was crazy. Now, one episode in, and I'm bald as a ping pong ball. So, I mean, things have changed rapidly. But I'm just saying, at least I got this cool, like, tie-dyed shirt on now. So at least I got and I got a background. You guys like my new background?
So fancy.
I'm in the studios right now.
You're in the green. I'm in the green room.
I'm in the green room. That's exactly right. We're at the green room.
So, did you get any sweet pickups this week? Anything you get lucky on? Anything?
I mean, I actually did get some sweet pickups, and I actually have them right here. Let me grab them.
All right. Mark walked away. So while you're gone, can you still hear me while you're walking away?
Yep, I can hear it.
Okay. So while you're gone, I did get some sweet pickups this week too. I will start with this kind of neat little flag that came in from some friends of ours. This little gravedigger flag.
Gravedigger. Let's go.
Came in. Worked out some trades with them. I'm awfully late on my end of the trade, but they sent that, and it's a little ways away, but they sent the new Avenger 2-pack, Monster Truck 2-pack to me because they know that that's my favorite monster truck. But what's going to end up happening is, since I only have one, the ghoul is going to see it, and the ghoul is going to be like, this came from me? And I'm going to be like, heck yeah, dude. And they sent me what is that? A one bad ghoul, 124th monster truck as well. So it was kind of rad. Those are some sweet pickups. And oh, dude, I gotta grab this. I gotta grab this because what actually came in as I make a whole big mess.
RLC
Oh,
stuff.
oh boy.
I haven't got any of my RLCs in this week. I was just gonna say that my Skylines and I think my Transformer hasn't showed up. None of that showed up.
There it is.
That's
Man,
sweet.
it is very sweet. Did a Whatnot show, hawking some of my wares, and I did a live unboxing on my Whatnot, and Nemesis Prime came in. So I dig it. It's super cool. I opened it up, I transformed it. These went fast, and but I was fortunate enough to get mine. So into the collection it goes. So what did you grab? I can't.
You can't see it.
The 80th 5 pack? Is that the 80th 5 pack?
Yeah, that is the 80th 5 pack with a Bone Shaker. I picked up a Euro Speed set with the La Ferrari, which I don't know if we're gonna be able to see it. You're gonna be able to see it. There we go, La Ferrari, right? Euro Speed.
Dogs.
I found this on the hooks staring at me.
No way.
It was on the outer hook when I walked up to Myers. It was literally 7 o'clock at night. Me and my son walked up and I looked over and I went, man, that's really purplish. Like, by golly, that's a freaking super sitting right on the outside of the hook. I was like, that's the first super I found this year in the wild. But I was extremely happy about that. And then the new Fast and Furious set we also picked up with the
The Altezza.
Chaser
The Chaser.
and the Honda Civic from the
Civic.
very first Fast and the Furious and the
High
Evo,
Civic.
Porsche, and Lambo. So those are a few things that were picked up this week.
You found those on pegs?
I found those in a box that I ordered from the internet.
Okay. It's,
So-
you know what? I think it's kind of like when that was announced and the High Civic was announced, I think it was pretty much a given that the only way you're going to find that is if you pre-ordered it or bought it directly from, some sort of outlet, because finding that on pegs is going to be impossible.
It's going to be tough. That's why it's going to be tough.
I went to, I did my rounds and I saw one of the Walmarts I go to. I got all the Euro Speeds and I can get every single car in that set except the LaFerrari. I can't find the LaFerrari anywhere.
Yep, of course.
And everything is just, it's just ganked.
The rest of them in that series is meh. Like Bugatti Bolide, pretty cool. Nobody likes the Aston Martin. Nobody cares about the Pininfarina Battista and the McLaren Solus GT.
That LaFerrari is nice, but I sat and I looked at the Aston Martin and I was like, I'm sure if I cracked this and opened it, I would probably appreciate it a whole lot more.
Right.
In hand. I mean, I'm just like everybody else. I want that Ferrari, man. I want that Ferrari. So I'm gonna have to get stuck. I'm gonna probably get stuck paying secondhand for it, but I'll just get what I need, my two.
Well, and don't forget, after you pay secondhand for it, you'll find it the next day at your Target. Okay, that's just how it happens. Yep. Actually, I did get one other thing that's really, really. I got this from Australia. Kangaroo Rob, good friend of mine. There's OZ Wheels. This is a Holden Ute. And these cards are from Australia. They're actually made by OZ Wheels. And he sent me a bunch of oil cans of this stuff. And this is the new one. He's sending me 2 more of these. I'm kind of addicted to the Holden cars from Australia. And these are rubber tires, metal base, metal chassis. The things are really heavy. They're the size of a premium. Like this one has a lift-off back, which comes off. But I'm kind of addicted to them. Problem is they're not cheap to get from Australia. They come all the way down from the land down under, so you got to pay for shipping on that. So, but Rob's my sole exclusive.
So is that a company that produces them, or is that like a customized?
Nope, OZ Wheels, ozwheels.au. Try to become a distributor for them, but it's tough because I'm over here, and they're not doing like big US distributorships yet. And honestly, since I'm making the move here in the next month or two, I'm trying to downsize everything before I leave. I know how much this is all going to cost to move and how many semi-trailers it's going to take. Less moving is better, but we'll see.
All right. So today, this episode, we're going to be talking about the Flux Capacitor of Fandom.
Great Scott!
We're going to be talking about Back to the Future, man. And let's start from the beginning. Let's go with John DeLorean. Let's start with John DeLorean, right? The DMC-12. So in doing my preparation for the show, I watched Back to the Future. I didn't watch part 3. I watched parts 1 and 2. And I also found a really cool documentary on the interwebs called 88 Miles Per Hour. The story of the DeLorean time machine. It's on the YouTube, so you can stream it on the YouTube. It's a full-length documentary. It's really interesting. It tells you how they conceptualize and all the artistry behind designing the time machine, and it talks about a little bit of history of John DeLorean. How familiar with John DeLorean are you?
Well, coming from the car world, I mean, I was familiar with him for a long period of time until he passed away. And then, things go kind of dormant and you start forgetting more than you remember. But I remember he was a shrewd designer, worked in the automotive field before he jumped out on his own, started up the DeLorean, which had its problems. The motor wasn't a great motor to per se, and it's still not a great motor today. But his fame to glory was he made it and then he got himself into drug problems and then he lost it. So, the cult classic of the DeLorean car went dormant for many, many years. People had these things in their garages and just didn't give two craps about them. And it hasn't been until recently that the resurgence of finding the DeLoreans, and there's a guy in a company that's restoring these things, right? But he's restoring them to specifications of today's age. So he's putting LS1s in the back, or he's putting tried and true motors in the back. He's doing a better suspension because it's not the French motor anymore. It was a French V6 that was in it. And now you can make a DeLorean reliable. You can paint it, and it looks really, really good. But, the unfortunate side was the movie made the car. If the movie wouldn't have used that car, the DeLorean would have been defunct long ago and people would have just simply forgot about it. But the cult classic that this movie has is what's made this car live the life that it has.
So in the documentary, they actually talk about that. Bob Gale, he was the writer, and he wrote it with. He wrote like they tell in the documentary that he came up with the idea when he went back to go visit his parents, and he found his father's old yearbook, and he saw that his father was like he was like the class president, and then that made him think about the class president from his high school graduating class, and that he just remembered that the person was like the kind of like I don't want to say all American, but like he was in like every club, and he saw that his father was in every club. Like he was like a rah rah school spirit kind of guy, and I'm pretty sure he said that he didn't really like that type of guy. And then he started thinking like, well, if I went to high school with my dad, would my dad and I be friends? And it's funny because when he wrote the film, that's when I think all the stuff was happening with John DeLorean with the charges and stuff like that, and that's why I think they incorporated it. And then when they were getting funding for the movie, they were approached and said, Ford will give us X amount of dollars if we make the time machine Mustang, and he's famously quoted as saying, Doc Brown doesn't drive an effing Mustang. Like so they wanted to use that DeLorean because it was a very unique car in the sense that it didn't really, it had stainless steel body. You said it had a Swedish engine, a French engine. I think
French engine.
It's a French engine. In the documentary, they said it was a Volvo engine, and that was notorious for failing. And it just looked like it was like an American. What's the term I'm looking for? Like an American. They wanted to make an American sports car, like a Ferrari.
Right.
But
Right. But the problem is that with the motor being in the back, the cooling issues that they had, there's just no direct airflow to get good air in the back of that motor, and that was one of the main problems, was just trying to keep the thing cool. And the motor wasn't a tried and true motor. It was, they were on a shoestring budget when they were trying to make this car hit the market. And I remember the car wasn't even really ready to hit the market when they decided to launch it, but he just said it had to be in stores and they had to get it out. I mean, they modeled the gull wing doors after the old Mercedes SLs and the 300 SLs with the gull wing doors, which was a great idea, but the bodies aren't structured like the old Mercedes are. So, it's like trying to make a Mercedes gull wing, which is a very stout, pronounced car on a shoestring budget, but try to make it Americanized and as cheap as possible because he just didn't have the funding. I mean, he literally was doing this on a shoestring. I mean, he was maxed out on cards, he was maxed out on bank accounts, he was maxed out on loans. I mean, he was out of money when this thing. That's the reason why he said it's got to go into production. I got to get it out. I got to recoup some of my money. So I think given more time, truly given more time in the beginning, I think he was a smart enough guy that he could have really nailed the thing down, and I think the car would have become an American classic to where finding it as a barn find would make it worth a whole bunch of money. So if you find an SL gull wing Mercedes in a barn that's been there for 60 years, it's, $30 million car because the provenance is it's the Mercedes and it's the gull wing car. If you find a DeLorean in a barn right now that's been sitting there for 30 years, guess what? It's not worth that much money. At least it isn't until somebody puts the thing back together and makes it so it's roadworthy. So it's just
It's
this
funny.
two different provenances, you know? I mean, you have people that love this DeLorean, but you also have the gullwing door Mercedes. So it's not a same playing field. But that was his envision. His envision was, you know, someday this thing is going to be everybody's going to own a DeLorean, and they didn't.
Well, I mean, it's funny that the motor company failed. So DeLoreans were manufactured in Northern Ireland, I think it was. They weren't built in the United States. They weren't built at, like some exotic country like Italy or anything like that. They were built in Northern Ireland, and like he wanted to give jobs to the people to like kind of like in a way stop a warring country. And DeLorean, he was no slouch when it came to automobiles. He was responsible for, I'm looking it up right here, Pontiac GTO, a Pontiac Firebird, the Grand Prix, the Cosworth Vega, and then ultimately he became known for the DeLorean, the DMC-12. I mean, the GTO, that's a serious car, right? Like,
And I think the reason why he finally went out on his own because he wanted to do this with Chevrolet and GM, and they just wouldn't give him the green light. So he figured, I'm just going to go do it myself. I've got enough experience. I've done enough of this. I think I can start my own car company. It's like Elon Musk of the day, but not having Elon Musk's backing, per se, right? So Elon got into building cars, but he's a tech company. So he didn't know anything about building cars, but he did know that he could build the best tech you could have and then put a car around it. The difference between that and most car companies are they're car companies and they add tech to their cars. Where Elon looks out of the box and says, well, I can make a computer that's this awesome computer. Now let's put it on wheels. So, you know, same vision plan I'm sure that DeLorean had that Elon had. It's just John DeLorean did it with like, you know, $15 in his pocket compared to Elon. compared to Elon.
so in 1984, excuse me, 82, he was charged with cocaine trafficking under FBI informant James Hoffman, listed him as a financier in a scheme to sell 220 pounds of cocaine worth approximately $24 million. He was doing this to save his company. The DMC was insolvent at the time and $17 million in debt. Hoffman approached DeLorean, a man he barely knew with no prior criminal record, and DeLorean was able to successfully defend himself at trial under the procedural defense of police entrapment. Trial ended in a not guilty verdict in 84, but at the time,
Correct him.
DMC had already filed for bankruptcy and ceased
Yep.
operation.
Yep.
So he was trying to do shady, no good stuff in order to try and save his company. But ultimately, he was not guilty, but it was already too late by the time it went down.
Yeah,
And that
when that happens, your name gets tarnished like that. I mean, even though that he won, it's too late. I mean, you can't show your face in public and people don't look at you as the guy who just got busted selling $24 million worth of coke.
it's
I
rough,
bet
dude.
that was I bet and if I remember correctly, one of the interviews that I had seen about it, he said he was sweating absolute bullets when he was in the hotel room trying to make the deal. Like he was soaking wet because it was the last straw to save the company. He was going to do whatever it took to save it and
That's what it
sold it to
says.
the wrong person.
So by the time he was found not guilty in 84, DMC had already collapsed into bankruptcy, and DeLorean's reputation as a businessman was irrevocably, I can't pronounce that word, so I'm just not
Yeah,
going to bother anymore.
there was no
His
coming back.
reputation was tarnished. And when asked after his acquittal if he planned to resume his career in the auto industry, he said, quote, would you buy a used car from me? So, and then in 85, he was indicted on charges he defrauded investors and committed tax evasion by diverting millions of dollars raised for the company to himself. And then he was actually acquitted of those charges as well. So then he kind of just like went into obscurity. And then ultimately in what
90
year? 90, excuse me,
2005. He died at
2005.
80.
He passed away in Summit, New Jersey at the age of 80. Another famous person who died in Jersey. Mitch Hedberg and John DeLorean. 80 years old, though. That's a big bucket of win right there. 80 years old, all things considered. And he created a car that was notorious for all these faults and flaws and stuff like that, but is this pop culture icon because of the film Back to the Future.
Still to this day.
To this day,
He did something right.
there's still people like you can't think of the DeLorean without thinking of Back to the Future, right? And you can't watch Back to the Future and obviously not see the DeLorean. Like, do you think it would have worked with another car?
No, it would have just been another movie. The DeLorean was so odd at its time that gull wing door And I'm looking at the Back to the Future car right now in front of me, 118 scale with Mr. Fusion thing on the back. It was such a unique car that, I mean, let's be honest, the car made the movie, right? The actors are the actors. We get that part, but the car makes the movie. It's like Knight Rider. Knight Rider wouldn't have been the same without a black Firebird with the red light and kit.
Yeah,
A Team wouldn't have been the same TV show without the black Vandura. Starsky and Hutch wouldn't have been the same show. The General Lee, Dukes of Hazzard wouldn't be Dukes of Hazzard if they were driving a Mustang. It wouldn't have worked. So yeah, I don't think it would have worked with something else. I truly don't.
I mean, I can't think of another film. I mean, there's a lot of car movies, man. We have another episode planned where we talk about cars and films, especially with when it comes to family, the Fast and the Furious franchise. We're going to be touching base on that. You can't really think of another film that has such a profound cultural impact on automobiles. I mean, I talked about this with you. American Graffiti. American Graffiti is a straight up car movie. But when you talk about American Graffiti, I think that was George Lucas's first movie, or one of his first movies, THX 138. That was his first actual film. But American Graffiti is a car movie. But not a lot of people have seen American Graffiti. Like that's a deep cut right there. Like if you're a car guy, you're gonna watch American Graffiti. It's got a very young Harrison Ford in it. It's a great film because it's a coming of age story. It's about these kids essentially growing up in this small town. But not a lot of people seek out American Graffiti. Back to the Future is one of those movies that even if it's on, it's like Goodfellas. If it's on television, no matter My Cousin Vinny, Goodfellas. If it's on television, you're just going to turn it on and watch it and
It's a
keep going on.
cultural icon. And I mean, I follow this Brazilian page, and it's a dedicated page for Back to the Future, and they do recreations of like car shows and stuff like that. But there's one down in Brazil. I mean, they're all over the country, like all over the planet. There's just everybody knows the movie Back to the Future. I don't care where you go, any corner of this planet, besides maybe some place they've never had TV. But if they have some kind of a source of social media, everybody knows that car, the DeLorean, is the Back to the Future. And most new kids that have seen the movie will only say that the DeLorean is the Back to the Future car, not that it's a DeLorean. They just say it's the Back to the Future car.
And they see
Right?
and they
BTTF.
exactly.
That's all it's just a time machine. Like the cars it's a mythical car called the time machine. What they don't really realize, the newer generation, is that that's an actual car that was sold, right? So people are reliving it all over again. Like the 40th anniversary we talked about comes out October 31st in 4K, or in the whatever.
Yeah.
So that 40th anniversary, if you think about it, 40 years, it's still going strong. Like 40 years, you still think of the hoverboard. So I have a hoverboard right here. There's an actual hoverboard. So you still think of all the things in there, the car, the hoverboard, the shoes. I mean, those original self-lacing Nikes. I come from the shoe world too. Those original shoes are $35,000, $40,000, $45,000.
Yeah.
For the first gens that came out. Now they've come out with a second and third gen, but those OGs still pull $40,000. I watched a guy pull a storage unit in a storage unit category, and he found 5 boxes of them. A collector had bought 5 boxes of those Back to the Future self-lacing Nikes, and he was getting 40,000 some bucks a pop out of each one. That's a shoe icon thing. Like that is a very prominent shoe in the shoe category, and the shoe category is huge. Sneakerheads, huge. So when you say self-lacing, people go the Back to the Future sneakers. You're like, yep, that's right. So there's there's a lot of things that movie has icon-wise that's been a cultural thing for people to talk about. Hoverboard, everybody thought we'd be on a hoverboard by now. So now there's magnets in the ground, and you have these magnetic skateboards, and they do hover, but nobody can hover yet. Cars don't fly yet, right? George Jetson said we'd be flying by now. Well, he lied. But, there's a lot of stuff in that movie that we still, to this day and age, think, oh, yeah, it's from Back to the Future, or Back to the Future 2, or Back to the Future 3. So
you actually, you showed the hoverboard and stuff like that. From a collectible standpoint, the film has an endless amount of props that are huge on the collectible scene. The hoverboard, I think the Mr. Fusion thing was actually a coffee bean grinder that they attached, that the props and artistic team put on the back of it. But like everything down to the wardrobe. Big thing now is they're trying to track down the original Gibson ES345 that was used.
The guitar.
the guitar like that. They said it's lost in time. So there's a big online movement to try and find the original guitar that they used for the film because apparently it's just gone missing. And I'm sitting here watching this, joking to myself, like, dude, there's some prop master, some on-set prop that once the film wrapped, that guitar is gone, man. Like some guy that worked on the movie has that guitar in his house and
Hanging on his
or,
wall.
or yeah, dude, like they're never gonna find. I think they're offering a reward of like $100,000 to try and find that guitar. But the big thing, obviously, is the DeLorean. My car that I carry when I go hunting is a premium Hot Wheels DeLorean. Yeah. So when I go hunting, when I go out, like I know a lot of collectors do this, but they carry like a pocket car. You know,
Hey, check.
so my pocket car is actually a DeLorean. And when we were going to record last week, I actually got some stuff in the mail, a couple of time machines. This one is from 20, I don't know, the copyright on it. It's J case. I think it's 2024. Um, this one is from 2010.
That's the first edition. That's the first time
Uh,
Hot Wheels released that one.
yeah, 2010, 2011. It says right there. Then there's the new wave right here is the Back to the Future 3 car with the train tracks.
Let's go.
Nice. There's even a monster truck of it.
I
The
got that
monster
one
truck.
too. Look at that. There he is.
You have the original one. Look at that, the
Yeah,
round.
that's the
You know,
OG.
I'm looking at this and I'm thinking to myself, if only I had some sort of case to protect this.
That's
If I
crazy.
knew, if I knew someone that
I wonder if we
made,
could sponsor the podcast by the Vintage Drop Shop protector packs. I mean, that'd be a good plug, right?
if only I knew someone that had made protective cases for monster trucks.
Hey, have you seen this yet? You haven't even seen this yet, have you? What's that? That is a double pack protector pack.
You and your fancy little
I
designs,
know.
the backgrounds. There you
I'm
go.
gonna have to change the background. I'm gonna have to turn the background off. But my
So you have,
double pack prototypes are here. They're in the house.
that's great.
Don't forget, you have the poop car too.
The poop car, which if you open up, you could take the poop off.
Yep, the poop comes off.
So there's so many variations of the DeLorean in the collectible 164th. I think you said you have a 1/18th scale one. Can you show
Yep.
that?
Yeah, let's see if I can. So this one is a Hot Wheels Elite. Now, I'm gonna see if I can flip the camera. Hold on a minute. Let me see if I can touch this. Can I flip the camera somehow, some way? What happens when I push this button? Oh, no, that just turns me off. That's cool. So I guess I can't really change anything while I'm doing it. Nope, can't do it. All right, so this is what it looks like. I'm gonna try to show everybody what it looks like. So it's gonna be kind of hard.
There you
That
go.
is the 1/18 scale, opening doors with the coffee grinder in the back. Full. It's an actual aluminum car, aluminum hood. The hood does open. I actually had the hood open just a second ago.
So is
Hold
that
on.
thing heavy? Has it got some weight on it?
Oh yeah, it's really heavy. It's all die cast. Reverse opening hood.
Oh, look at that. For you to put this, you could put a hoverboard in there.
The hoverboard is right here. That goes in
So
it.
cool. I was making a joke and they really did it.
Yeah, it's literally in the box. So this is what it looks like. This is the Hot Wheels Elite box. Oh my gosh, just show it. Just show it.
That's sick.
So these were the elites, were the cream of the crops when it came to 1/18 scale stuff. And these things were not cheap. Like, I hope we do an episode on Ferris Bueller's Day Off because, my last name is Bueller. That's an iconic movie for me, but I have the 1/18 scale cars from it too. And those things are not cheap. Like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars now. The Ferrari from that. And I don't know how much the Back to the Future one is, but the last time I looked, it was $100 and some odd dollars. So I've had this thing for, I can't even tell you how long. Oh my gosh, I didn't even realize that. Check this out. Let's see if you can see it. Check it out. You put your stuff in it and then you shut it.
Oh,
Got the little clip on it. Fill it full, shut it down. Gosh, the
you just
background.
need like little cans of Miller High Life to throw in there and you're good to go. I
know.
need fuel. Little tiny cans of the champagne of beers. And you can hit the look, man, where you're going, you don't need roads.
Right.
So that's the
That
thing
thing's
about this.
cool.
That's the thing about this film, and a lot of films obviously do this, but that's the thing that with such an iconic car, right? So this gave the DeLorean like a second life, right? Like this gave the DeLorean a whole new life that, like you said, when the generation today, kids today, and just people that don't know about the DMC-12, right? Like, so people that don't know about the car, if they see the car, they think that's the Back to the Future car. Much like how if I saw like an orange Supra driving down, I'd be like, smoke them, like thinking of Fast and the Furious, right? What is that? A Supra Mark IV, right?
Yep.
So the collectible scene, it has everything that's super accessible, like to the everyday collector, I guess you could say, right? Like I can go out and buy like this, I could buy this for, a couple of bucks, man. Like you can get if you when they do a wave of mainline Hot Wheels, it's $1.25, whatever. But there's like super boutique stuff where like I guess the ultimate collectible would be buying an actual DeLorean. The collectors out there that build these cars, some people have made it their whole like their career now. Like that's what they do. Like they just make aftermarket parts because they got these parts for the actual car at like some random, for lack of a better term, junk shop in California that had all these different dials and buttons and doohickeys and tallywhackers that they put on this car that it's hard to find that stuff. There's actually a show on Disney. It's a discovery show called Expedition, and they did a couple episodes on them trying to track down the screen used DeLoreans. There were seven. There were seven screen used DeLoreans, and they made a really funny story about it. But like Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd, like a lot of characters from the films are in this series, and ultimately they end up. I don't want to spoil it. Never mind, forget it. But it's a cool show. It's called Expedition. Check it out. It's on Disney Plus. Check out the documentary 88 Miles Per Hour on I think it's on YouTube right now. But it talks about collectors in general and the car. But it's not just the car that's like you said, the Nike mags, the hoverboards. Like there's so many different things that you can collect from this aspect, and it gave it new life. Thinking about that, right? Giving the car a second chance. What does that idea of redemption or finding purpose in something that was initially a failure mean to you?
Well, it's the story of never giving up, right? It's the story of rags to riches, full send. As my wife would say, with a neurodivergent brain like I have and my son, is that we were on an airplane and we needed to get to the ground. I would jump out and then figure out how to build the airplane on the way down or figure out how to build a parachute on the way down. Instead of having a foolproof plan, you have to have a parachute on. It has to be strapped in. It has to be locked in. You have to have two levers. You have to have a backup. My brain would be like, all right, let me jump out and then I'll figure it out on the way down. So that was always his envision. Was he was had too many shackles on him at the big industry. They just didn't want to go out and do this. And I mean, if you think about it, if they would have done it, it probably would have failed just as bad because he didn't really have 100% of the details on how to make this car good. I mean, it looks good, but the execution just wasn't there. But he never gave up. Even when the company was ready to go bankrupt, he was willing to do whatever to keep it afloat because he still believed in the company that much. So that's the vision that I would say that sticks out the most about this entire car. But I mean, again, when I see a DeLorean driving down the road, I go, it's probably been restored and it has all the working parts on it now that it should. But I do know the companies that fully build these things to look like Back to the Future 2 with everything on the back. And I mean, I know companies that literally have made careers building these DeLoreans into the Back to the Future car. That's literally what
Yeah.
they do. So,
Yeah.
it's given a lot of people jobs over the years of trying to keep one movie alive. If you think about it, this is just one movie 40 years ago. This isn't like a phenomenon that happened over the years. It was literally 1, 2, 3 movies. And each movie now, I mean, we're back now. They're still releasing Back to the Future Hot Wheel cars. Over 40
Yeah.
years, we're still doing it. We're still releasing it. We're still releasing the monster trucks. We still release Jada. This thing, we just picked this up at a store. Jada. That's a 1/43rd scale ice DeLorean Back to the Future. Hollywood
Is it
rides,
hot?
Jada
Is it
toy.
hot?
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
cold. It's cold. It's cold. It's damn cold.
it's just crazy that they're still making money on these things or still making money on this movie. And it's the newer generations just keep coming in and keep watching it and learn about it. And it's just, so if John DeLorean did anything right, besides all the crap that he did do, he at least left a legacy behind him that the car that he inspired to be one of the best cars ever produced ended up still being a pop culture icon to this day, even though it was a pile of crap car, right?
You hit the nail right on the head that so many companies are still making merchandise for this movie 40 years after the fact that this movie was released, right? What makes collectors so loyal to this specific movie and it's merchandise like 40 years later? Like, what is it about like, is it the appeal of time travel? Is it the car? Like, what is it do you think that makes
I
collectors
got it.
so
I got it. The answer is it's the generation of my age that grew up young watching it, inspiring and thinking someday I'm going to own a DeLorean. I want a time machine, right? But it's now the people that are my age, your age, that we have FU money. And I say FU money when I mean we don't have virtual FU money, but we've got grown up money now, right? So all the things that we wanted when we were kids, we can now obtain if we really want it. Like you can buy the big hoverboard, like the life size hoverboard. It's 100 some odd bucks, right? But it is a hoverboard that you can sit in the corner of your room. You can buy a DeLorean for relatively cheap. You can find them for cheap, and you put 30,000 bucks in it. You can have yourself a time machine. But the thing about it is that even though the new generations are catching on and they're still buying stuff, the thing that's kept this genre going for this movie is people that are middle age, 40, 45, 50 years old, because it's the movie that we grew up. I mean, freaking 40 years ago, I was 9 years old. So, you know, it's a movie we all went to the movie theaters and went, oh wow, man, I want to go back in time. Even my downtown here, where my shop is in Danville, the way the courthouse is and the way the lights are strung going out to each one of the buildings, you would be hell pressed to think that they didn't do that because of that movie. And it looks like it's got the big clock in the middle of the tower, and when you look at it and all these lights, every night that I drive through, because when I leave here at night, I drive around this circle just to catch a little bit of nostalgia from this stupid movie. And I come around the front, and as I drive, I look up at the clock and I go, if only I could go 88 miles per hour right here in front of this building and leave a couple streaks. I mean, that's still to this day when I leave the shop, I'm like, I'm still thinking about that stinking movie. So it's
yeah.
it's lasted. It's made an impression in everybody's head that's around our age. I mean, that's for true facts.
So the core of the film is time travel. Why do you think the concept of time travel fascinates us so much in fiction? Is it about changing mistakes, seeing the future, or is it just the pure wonder of time travel?
I think it's pure wonder of time travel. Everybody I've ever talked to said, if you could travel back in time, what would you do? I'd go back and tell my younger self that it's going to be really crappy when you get older. I'm like, okay. Or you have people say, I'd go back and bet on those ball games and become billionaires like Biff did, right? The thing about it is that if you go back and you
Marty
do
wanted
that,
to do it before Biff did it, and Marty wanted to do
right.
it. That's why I wrote the almanac.
But if you do that, you're altering literally time and you're altering the future. So it would never be the same. So I think the most that people think about that is just that we can't time travel and that we thought by now we'd be able to somehow, some way. You hear about this CERN collider that's, over in Europe that's supposedly open up portals and you can go back in time and things have disappeared in there and they've thrown it in and it's never come back out. They're making black holes. So, I mean, people are like thinking, whoa, is it going to happen still? Yeah, honestly, I don't think it's ever really going to happen. I think they just tell you what they want to tell you. But I think it's that if we could time travel, what could we do? When would we go back? What would we go see? I think it's that fact that we just can't do it yet that
Well, Doc does it
intrigues
in the
everybody.
film. Like if say you wanted to go back to see the birth of Christ, and he punches in December 25th, 0000. I think it's the idea when you bring up time travel with someone. I don't. Maybe it's just like it's always changing the past, right? Like immediately, like oh, if you could travel in time, what would you do? Kill the one of the first responses is always like kill Hitler, right? Like I'll go back and kill Hitler. But there's the idea that you would go back and change mistakes, fix your mistakes, right? And do you think that that's something that you would do? Like, would you want to change mistakes in the past, or is it
No,
important to learn from those mistakes? This way you don't make them again and pass on that knowledge. Because it's funny, like we were talking earlier, you were talking about that green silhouette crossing guy, right? How these high school kids were acting silly and they stole like a little green silhouette, slow children cutout thing. And you immediately, during that conversation, you immediately like reverted to like, like almost like your 16-year-old self just being stupid, acting stupid, because we all did stupid things when we were 16 years old. When you talked about that, I immediately thought of a time that I was in a friend's car and I stole a parking cone from outside of school, and I was just being dumb. I was being dumb when I did it. But like when I got home, I think like 20 minutes after I got home, the cops showed up at my house and they were like, "Did you steal a cone?" And I was laughing the entire time. I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "All right, man, I know you got the cone in there. Just go bring it back." And like I ultimately did. I brought it back and said I
here you
was
go. I'm
sorry.
sorry.
Yeah, dude, but like you made that noise because like again, like we were all 16. We did stupid things, right? Like And we try to pass that knowledge on to our kids. We try to pass that knowledge on to the youth about like, hey, like you're going to do something stupid and you're going to regret it. And I'm sure someone said to me, I'm going to do something stupid and I'm going to regret it. And I just thought to myself, like, whatever, old man, like you don't know what you're talking about. And here I am now. Now I'm the old man and I'm a teacher. And I keep trying to tell kids like, look, stop being stupid. And they just don't want to listen to me. And now I understand the aspect of being the old man and having
Wisdom.
being like I was gonna say curmudgeon. I wasn't gonna say like being this. I wasn't thinking Obi-Wan Kenobi, the wise Obi-Wan Kenobi. I was thinking more like whatever youth of today is stupid.
Yeah. Sigma, dude. Sigma. If I hear that word one more time, I swear I'm going to come uncorked.
But the idea of cause and effect and fixing the past, Marty didn't even try to he tried to fix the past because if he didn't fix the past, he wasn't going to exist, right? But he drastically tried to change the future in Back to the Future 2 by buying the almanac, right? Like, because he was like, if I could put money, like, what did that old guy say in the town square? Oh, I wish I could go back in time, put some money on the Cubbies, He really tried to change it. And then, like, what ended up happening was catastrophic.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I don't think I would change anything in the past because I mean, I know I've done I've done a lot of really dumb things, but I think the things that I've done in my past have molded me to what I am today. So if I were to change, I would probably go back and dumb down some things that I've done, like some of the really stupid things that I did. I probably would understand that I shouldn't do it to that level. But then again, then how would it make me turn out if I did dumb that down? Because everything I did was full send, 120%. Didn't think about what I did it until after I got done and went, maybe that wasn't a great idea. But that's what put me here to this place, right? So I got a 24-year-old son, a 7 and an 8. So I'm married to my wife and I have a 7 and 8. My 24-year-old didn't come from my wife because my wife is only 9 years older than him. That would be weird. It's still weird when I make comments like, we won't
When
even
you
say
make
it.
comments like that,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
so weird.
When I was graduating high school and I was looking at a 2-year-old going,
Nope, we're stopping right there.
nope, we're done right there. All right. So that's what happens when you're 15 years apart from your wife. Now it doesn't make any difference, but back then, big difference. But I don't think I would change. I mean, I might change a few things, but I think really everything that I've done in my life has kind of molded me to put me where I am now. And like you said, wisdom now is because of how much dumb crap we did. So we're not smarter. We just know the stupid crap we don't want our kids to do that we did. That's always the goal. Try to make your kids better than what you were. Try to get your kids to not do as much dumb crap as you are. But, most of my friends that now have very young teenage kids, they are like, and my kid just thinks I'm the dumbest person on the planet. I'm like, yeah, we all thought that. Everybody thinks their dad, moms are the dumb people until they get older. And I apologized to my mom and dad a few years back. I sat them down and I looked at them both in the face and I said, I just want to tell you that I'm sorry for being such a jackass growing up. And I said, I get it now because I want to punt my one son through the freaking window on a daily basis. And I said, I don't know how you didn't literally kill me growing up. I'm like, I would have killed me if I was you. You had a lot more patience. And that's why I've had to have so much more patience because I'm not a patient person, but I've had to learn patience because of things that I've done in the past or grown up through the past. And I'm like, I don't want that to transpire into my kid. I don't want to pass that down. I want to break that. So, I mean, the
Small thing.
past is maybe what I am. I wouldn't give up much of the past, change much of the past. Because if I did, I literally wouldn't be where I'm sitting right now with the woman that I'm married to and my 2 younger children that I get to see every single day of my life. I wouldn't be there.
It's about those small changes, man. Like the film touches on how, like, even like the butterfly effect, right? Like even if the smallest change could have a huge impact.
Catastrophic. Yep.
George McFly not asking I forgot her name, but not asking her to the Enchantment Under the Sea dance, right? Not kissing, not dancing, not falling in love, no Marty McFly, doesn't exist. Huge impact, small change, huge impact. And what ends up happening is Marty McFly ends up being the peeping Tom that George was the peeping Tom, and his mom ends up falling in love with him. And like that small change right there had a profound, massive impact. I know you were talking about it, but like, can you think of any small changes in your life that had a massive impact on your future? Small things that happened in your life that had a massive, profound impact on your future, besides having kids.
I was gonna say that's a big one. A small night made a big impact for 18 years after that. One small night thinking you're a rock star, and next 18 years you're like, boy, oh boy, that night was one and done, and now here we are. I think Well, I mean, that's kind of a tough question. Probably in the collectible field, right? In the collectible market, I've been in diecast. Okay, so I've been in diecast my entire life. I've been infatuated with diecast. I've been in cars. I've been a car guy my entire life. I think learning in the car industry when I had my own speed shop and I was drifting professionally for Cooper Tires, and I knew and I learned at a young age in the car industry how to shut up and listen to the generation that was above me to teach me on how to do things that I thought I could figure out on my own that I simply couldn't. And I'll give you a really quick story. So my car had a limited slip rear diff in it, right? And you need limited slip differential fluid additive to add to that fluid so both tires spin at the same time, right? We were at the drag strip one night down in Milan, Indiana, and we did a gear change in the back of one of my cars, but I put the fluid back in it, but I didn't have any of that limited slip diff fluid additive to it. And I was walking around the pits, and I'm trying to find somebody that has this, and nobody has this. And there was this guy wearing bibbed overalls, no shirt, hat, big old Billy Bob, exactly like you think right now in your head. You're like, I know what a Billy Bob looks like. That's what this dude looked like, right? 385 pounds, boobs and gut hanging out. I
Yeah.
mean, strolling around like, flip flop. This guy. And he walks up and goes, man, you don't need none of that dip fluid. All you need is a freaking banana. And I remember turning to look at him going, what? He goes, yeah. And we went over, looked, and he had not a 49 Merc. He had he had old gasser, right? And on the side of it was the Moon Eyes logo and Chiquita. Truly, that was the only two logos he had on the side. He goes, I'm not sponsored by nobody. He goes, but I'm gonna tell you right now. He goes, go get a banana from my pit. He goes, bring it back over, and I bring him a banana. He goes, all right. He starts peeling the banana, and he goes, take this banana, pulls the banana out, throws the banana peel back. He goes, take this banana and go shove it through your hole in your diff. Cream it all in there, put the freaking screw in it, and then drive it around the pits a couple times. You'll have posi traction in the rear end of your car. I'm like, there is no way that putting a banana, well, it is. It worked perfect because the oils that are in that banana is the same viscosity that this limited slip diff fluid is made out of. I shoved the banana in the rear end of my car and it ground up with all that oil, and it grabbed both tires so hard. I was like, this is freaking amazing. And so that's an old school guy that has learned the ways coming up through the ranks, and he knows things that most people don't know. So I think one thing that has made me who I am now is that in a young age in the car industry, I was able to shut up and listen to what people said instead of thinking, I got the internet. I know more than you know. Those stories, those people, the way that they do things, that's like you go to a dealership and you pay a guy, a mechanic for 14 hours. It's called flat rate. You pay him 14 hours because it calls for 14 hours for you to pull a transmission out, do a transmission rebuild, put it back in. You're paying 14 hours, you're paying thousands of bucks. And you watch the guy do it in 33 minutes. And you're watching in the window and you go, why am I paying for 14 hours? Because you're not paying for the hours. You're paying for the knowledge that that guy knows how to cut time and do his job the right way. So you're paying for that experience. Older generation, when they die off, those kind of stories are going to die off with them if we don't keep those stories alive. And so one thing I've always learned is you just got to be quiet and listen to those guys because they're old farts for a reason, but they usually know the tips and tricks that, these new generations, they just don't know. So if anything, that's one lesson that I've learned. Shut up and listen to the older generation when they're trying to teach you something.
So if I was to answer this question, I really can't pinpoint to one small change that like a choice that I made, right? But there's definitely a small thing that happened that obviously put me on the path that brought me here today. So when I enlisted back in the military back in 2003, the job that I chose when I enlisted, I went through the recruiting process and all that stuff. The job that I chose was called EOD, Explosive Ordnance Disposal. That was my first job in the military, right? And it was made famous by that movie, The Hurt Locker, and all that. And in order to qualify for this job during boot camp, and my recruiter didn't know this, didn't tell me about it or anything like that, you have to take a suit test. You have to take a suit test during basic training. And so I went to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri for boot, and you have to take this suit test. They put you in this big Michelin man suit, like this big, like,
Bomb suit.
bomb suit, and they PT the hell out of you while you're in this suit. And they give you like as soon as you get in that suit, they tell you you're in a chemical environment, and you can't break the seal on a pro mask or anything like that. And I was in Missouri in July, basically getting smoked, doing push-ups, running miles, carrying a 15-pound sandbag, and them telling me it's a bomb, you can't drop it, go run a mile in this suit, and like just dying. And they told you, like, when the second you put that mask on, that's when the test starts, and they can't tell you when it ends. And it felt like hours, man. It felt like hours. And nobody prepared me for this. Like, when you get to boot, your drill sergeants ask you, like, what's your job? And they start telling, like, during downtime, quote unquote downtime, they'll do like, they'll let you know your job, like, what's your MOS? And a lot of the guys there were 88 mics, they were truck drivers. And then they got to me, they're like, what's your job? And I'm like, 55 Delta. And they're like, what's that? And I was like, EOD. And they're like, oh, you get to blow shit up. Like, that's all they kept on saying. You get to blow. And I just got stoked that I was just going to blow stuff up because, like, all I had in my mind was just what Hollywood told me, like, blowing stuff up was going to look like. And I remember the first time I threw a hand grenade, and you don't actually see what happens when you throw the hand grenade in training because you're ducking down behind cover because the hand grenade is pretty devastating. But when you're waiting to throw your hand grenade and you're in a bunker like 150 meters away, you can watch it. And when a hand grenade explodes, it's not a big fireball like the movie Commando tells you it's going to be. It's not at all, because that's just Hollywood special effects and it's gasoline. It's just a big cloud of dust because all this shrapnel is just turning everything in the 15-meter radius into Swiss cheese, ripping it to shreds. Yeah, man, like ripping. It's absolutely devastating what it can do. So I'm thinking in my head, I'm gonna blow stuff up, man. I'm gonna have a good time, blow stuff up. And no one knew that I had to do this suit test where they basically smoke you for hours in this thing. And I remember being in the hot Missouri July sun in this suit test. And in my mind, I had two pathways, right? I had me going through EOD training, which has a 70% fail rate because after you pass the suit test, you go to munition school, ordnance school, where you learn about all different types of ordnance. And then from there, you go to another training place where you're there for 40 something weeks. And then you go to an EOD unit, which is kind of like a really small unit. And like, they all think they're operators. They all think they're special forces badass guys. And don't get me wrong, these guys are badass. I mean, you're playing with bombs for a living, and you're disarming bombs for a living. And they always, like, one guy had a cool shirt. It was hilarious. It said, "Bomb Squad, if you see me running, try to keep up."
Right.
And I remember, like, before the suit test, they showed us this like short 5-minute video where it was like, you always hear about our successes, you never heard about our failures. And the video had a lot of EOD failures, which were truly, truly horrific. So in my mind, during this suit test, after what felt like hour 2, 3, 4, or 5, I had me on that path of just doing high speed, awesome, cool stuff, blowing shit up, being a badass. And then the other path was anything else but this. And I was like, I'm done, man. And I pulled my mask off. I quit. I tapped out. And the second I pulled that mask off, these other soldiers, like these permanent party soldiers, came out of nowhere and just started stripping me out of this thing. And they brought me into this small room. I looked like I just got out of a swimming pool, dude. I'm soaked head to toe in just sweat. And you're in boot camp. You don't eat any snacks. You don't get any treats, kitty. You drink nothing but water. And they just immediately, like they come in, they just gave me like 3 Snickers bars and like 5 bottles of Gatorade. And they're just like, here. And then I'm in this tiny room. It's got 2 air conditioners. And it's just like, they're like, don't feel bad, man. Don't feel bad. And I wasn't even thinking about feeling bad. It didn't hit me that I quit. I was just like too busy eating sugar and drinking sugar and just trying to like recover from this. And then it hit me when I had to meet with the EOD company commander, and he handed me a letter that he signed that basically said I was not fit for this job. I was not fit, and that I had to go back. Now, when you fail out of your MOS in the Army, the drill sergeants and other people will try to tell you that if you fail, you go needs of the Army. They, like, you're not meeting your end of the contract, so now you're going needs of the Army, and they'll put you in a job that the Army needs. And that's not true at all. I don't know if it was because I was what's considered the old guy in boot camp, but I was like 22 when I enlisted, and I shipped for boot right around the early summer. I left in May of 2003. I enlisted February 2003, and I left for boot in May 2003. So I was the old guy in boot camp because everybody else around me was high school graduates, you know? Um, I don't know if it was because I was the old guy or maybe it was because, I was funny or whatever. But one of the drill sergeants I had told me, like, look, they're going to try to tell you have to go needs in the army. Tell them that, like, you want to talk, tell them you want to see a list of jobs that you're qualified for. So, like, a week later, I ended up going to a career counselor on Fort Leonard Wood. And as soon as I walked in that office, I had my battle buddy with me because you can't go anywhere without a battle buddy in boot camp and training in general. Like, you shouldn't be going anywhere without a battle buddy. Um, and as soon as I walked in that career counselor's office, this guy was like, organizing papers and he was like, all right, Private Springsteen, are you ready to go needs of the army? And I just like looked at him and I dead face said it. I said, I want to see a list of jobs I'm qualified for. And he kind of like did like this small eye, like haze at me almost to say like, who told you?
Who told you this?
Like, who told you this? Because he had my folder. He had a folder in front of him and he just opened it up and he took the top page out and he handed it to me. And on that page had my name, my social, all this stuff. And it just had all these numbers and letters. It was all different MOSs I was qualified for. And I said, what are these? And he goes, those are all the jobs that you're qualified for. And I'm like, well, what are they? And he's like, pick one. I don't have time to deal with this. And I was like, it was just the codes. It was like, all
Right.
the different codes. And I like looked and I looked at my battle buddy and my battle buddy goes, don't look at me, man. I chose MI. And I look down and I go, are any of these military intelligence? And he goes, and he looks at it and he crosses up and he goes, yeah, this one's military intelligence. And that's how I got into the military intelligence community
Your
in the
buddy.
United States Army by failing. Because
You're
when
like,
you
yeah, that
fail
sounds
at
good. I'll do
something,
that right there. Yep.
because when you fail at something in the army, they don't stick you in the infantry. They make you intelligence. They go, this guy is smart. Let's put him in the intelligence community. Let's make him an analyst. But if I didn't fail the suit test, if I didn't choose to quit, right? If I didn't choose to quit, who knows where I'd be right now? Who knows where I'd be?
Probably one
And to
arm.
extend that even further, if I never enlisted, right? And I enlisted, and I stayed in for a long time. I stayed in for 8 years. And I don't know if I was going to go career, but ultimately my time in the military ended due to me getting injured. But if I never enlisted, a lot of people will say that, especially in the veteran community. If I never enlisted, I don't know where I'd be right now. I am going to be cliche and totally say that 100%. If I never enlisted, I probably would have never went to college. I probably would have never got my degree. And I probably would have never worked in the film industry. And I probably wouldn't be a teacher right now. I mean, I don't know. I was a dumb kid, man. And I did a lot of dumb things. I
But
wouldn't change the things
we
that I
were.
did, but I don't know where I'd be right now if I didn't make that choice. And I don't want to say it's a small choice because obviously enlisting and joining the military is a really, really big deal because it affects all aspects of your life and all the aspects of the lives around you, especially when it comes to your family, because that's a big decision. But if I never did that, I probably wouldn't be where I'm at today. And I'm especially grateful for the decision I made because I was a punk kid who had no direction in life. And a lot of the friends that I had during my time in the military are dead now. Like a lot of the friends that I had before I enlisted are dead because of stupid choices they made. Um, I don't know if it's the military that saved my life, but it was definitely my decision to do something to get myself out of that situation. I'm grateful for that. Like, yeah, if I never broke the seal on that mask, man, I'm like, who knows where I'd be? Like, maybe I wouldn't even be alive. Like, and that's just that one thing. And like, again, like when that company commander handed me that letter saying like you are not qualified for this job. You are ill fit for this job. I cried, dude. I cried. I was like, I'm such a failure. And I wasn't crying because I was like, oh man, now I'm gonna go needs in the army. That wasn't even a thought in my head because I didn't know that was happening. I didn't know that that was what's gonna happen. Like I said, a drill sergeant, his name was Drill Sergeant Ploss. He goes, they're going to try and tell you needs of the army and tell them you want to see a list of jobs that you're qualified for. If you didn't tell me that, I probably would have been needs of the army. They would have stuck my ass in the infantry. And, like, who knows what would have happened? Or they would have, like, since I'm already there on Fort Leonard, where they would have made me a truck driver, an 88 Mike. Nothing wrong with those jobs. Those jobs are important, man. And some of the infantry guys that I've worked with in the past and during my time are some of the smartest dudes I've ever met because it's immediate problem solving on the spot. And that's like a skill that takes a long time to develop problem solving skills. And they call that a soft skill, critical thinking, problem solving skills. Those are soft skills that are communicable with any career that you have. Like your 385-pound, you know, old car guy who was like, just shove a banana in there. You're telling me this story, and I'm thinking to myself, like, dude, if anybody ever tells me to shove a banana, I'm thinking of back of Beverly Hills Cop when I put a banana in the tailpipe, you know,
Ah, got the
like
old banana in the tailpipe trick.
I'm like, dude, if I ever tell Mark I have this car problem, he tells me to shove a banana between some gears, I'm gonna tell Mark, better mind, I'm gonna go to my mechanic and he's gonna tell me that I need like blinker fluid or something like that.
Yeah, that's a good joke too.
But what do you think your biggest takeaway from this movie was as far as like collecting or like lessons on destiny or anything like that?
I don't know. I mean, honestly, this is one of those iconic movies that just live with you. You know, like Jurassic Park, Back to the Future, your first Batman that you see, Superman, Spider Man. They all resonate or ring your bell when you think about it. But I think the main thing that this movie did for me is because I was a car guy. And I've always been a car guy through and through. Stayed with me for all these years because it's a car. Like any car, I'm infatuated with all cars. Doesn't matter what it is, and I love the gull wing doors. I love the flux capacitor. I love everything about the Back to the Future DeLorean. The lights, just it's just an icon that will always be part of my memory growing up, and still memory to this day. We speak about icons. The General Lee, the A-Team van, the Back to the Future car. Those things are when you see a black van with a red stripe on it, your brain automatically goes, oh, A-Team. Doesn't even matter if it's a Dodge, Chevy, or Ford. But if you see a black van with a red stripe, you automatically think A-Team, right? You see a DeLorean, even if it's not made up like a time machine, you think Back to the Future. It's naturally ingrained in your brain for all these years. I think if anything, it's kept the perspective that it's a iconic car that's turned into an icon all by itself, and it's still an iconic thing to this day, 40 years later. Nothing's changed. Nothing's changed in 40 years. It's the same car, the same infatuation. I still get the same giggles when I see one driving down the street with all the stuff hanging off the back because somebody's turned it into that. I still go, oh my gosh, did you see that? It's a DeLorean. Look at this. It's a time machine. Like, I still get it. I still get excited about that. I'm almost 50 years old, and now my kids get to experience that because we're going to watch Back to the Future. My young kids are finally going to get a chance to watch it. And then when we go to car shows, they'll then start to think, look, it's the Back to the Future car. So if anything taken away, the icon has stuck with me for all these years. And John DeLorean, even though he was a terrible businessman when it came down to it, left a legacy. If you really think about it, his legacy still lives on to this day. You think of that car, you think John DeLorean. His name's John DeLorean. He made the DeLorean. It's the back. It's a lasting legacy. Even though his legacy wasn't great, it's still a legacy that's embedded in our history books.
I think my as far as like takeaways from the film and like the lesson learned, right? Especially like from based on the story that I just told and the stories that you've told. Again, the smallest changes could have the largest impact, right? Changing your diet now can have a huge impact on your life in the future. Waking up early, 5 minutes early can change being stuck in traffic, or it could cause you to get into a car accident. I think when as far as like the lesson learned from it is that, when I use my own personal experience, like what I saw as a failure at the time ended up being a massive blessing in the future for me because I had a pretty, I don't want to say successful military career, but, like I had a pretty good military career, um, and in the end, it like I said, it gave me the things that I have today, and it gave me the character that I have today too, which is really important as far as life goes. I have my veteran humor, which some people can view as dark and stuff like that, but like we use that as sort of like a coping mechanism. And there's other veterans that have probably been in way worse situations than I've ever been, that when they're in their everyday mundane life, they could be like, this ain't hard, like drive on, drink water. I've been in worse stuff than this. So there's that aspect. But as far as like collectibles go, I'm really interested to see what the future holds for Back to the Future collecting because of the technologies,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like, so, we have, like you said, I can go out and buy a hoverboard right now for $150, put it in my corner, and it looks like a hoverboard. Dude, who knows? 10 years from now, we might have real hoverboards. Back to the Future 2 predicted tried to predict 2015, right? And we're 2025 now. So yeah, we don't have flying cars, but as what's shown in the film, right? Like we don't have flying cars as was shown in the film. But who knows? As far as collectibles go, who knows? You know, maybe 10 years from now we'll have a little die-cast RC car that can float. The Ghoul, I picked up the Ghoul, one of these little RC car Ferraris, right?
Ferrari,
Who would have thought we'd have an RC cart like this big
right?
when you were
A
a kid?
Hot
You know
Wheel.
what I mean?
It's literally the
The
size of a Hot Wheel.
size of a Hot Wheel.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it does full turns and all that stuff. It drifts. I would have loved to have this when I was
yeah.
3, 4, 5, 6 years old.
Right.
Hell, I'm 44 and I love having this.
Get to experience it all over again at an older age.
So technology, I mean, like I joke with my students that like when I was in school and my fourth grade teacher, Miss Kosi, was trying to teach me mathematics and I was being a smartass and I said things like, I'm never going to use this when I get older. Or if I need to do this problem, I'll use a calculator. And she, gave me the cliche response of, are you going to carry a calculator everywhere you go? You know what, Miss Kosi? Yeah, I am. I'm going to carry
I
not
am.
only a calendar, but I'm going to carry the entire world's knowledge and history of mankind in my pocket. In my pocket. Star Trek had predicted visual communicators, and we have them. Like we have FaceTime, we have video chat, stuff like that. So 10, 15 years from now, I'd be really interested to see what type of technology exists for, the collectible aspect as far as Back to the Future goes. We never thought we'd have the Nike Mags, the self-lifting shoes, and here we go. We got them. Now that's like a boutique item because it costs, 30 grand, 40 grand, but they
Yeah,
exist.
yeah.
They
The
exist.
technology that we're using right now. I mean, this technology that we're using to do this podcast.
Yeah.
I mean,
You know,
you never would have thought you'd be able to carry this kind of technology in your pocket.
in your pocket, the palm of your hand, I can
I
make
remember the first FaceTime I ever did. I just remember going, this is it. Like
zit.
I've been wanting to like video call my parents and I'm doing it. I remember my mom was like this. Hi, Mark. How are
Yeah,
you?
you're
Can
talking
you
towards
see
him. Yeah.
me? I don't know. Am I moving my face the wrong way? It's just, I can't. Am I over here? I'm just like looking at her chin going, it doesn't matter. This is awesome. This is happening. Like
Yeah.
this is it. We're in the future.
So who
So,
knows what
yeah,
the future is going to bring as
who
far
knows?
as
Yeah.
technology, collectibles, and life. We don't know what's going to happen. But where we at? We're at hour 20. I think we're good. I think we hit everything we needed to hit. So we want to know what you would do if you had a time machine. We want to know. I want you to tell us what you would do if you had a time machine in the comments down below. Or like, what if there was? I want to hear if there was like a small thing in your life that had a huge impact on your later life, like a small change. If there was a small thing that you did, what was the cause and effect of that small thing that you did? Let us know in the comments down below. I
Like, share,
am.
subscribe, and all that good
Yeah,
stuff.
dude. Like, comment, subscribe.
We got a lot more coming. We got a lot
I
more coming.
am Tommy Late Night, and you are
Bald guy.
Bald Guy Mark. And this is Zero Chucks Given. You guys have a great night.